lighting weird today?
Yeah, mine's all great. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Hello, artists. Check your clocks. It is time for art, and I am your host, Hershey Petty. Time for Art is an easy to follow, fun, and engaging art lesson taught twice a week right here on our Facebook live streams. And if you don't have time for art in your very busy schedule, our lessons are available on demand on both our YouTube and our Facebook channels. Just look for Time for Art subscriptions. Whether you are new to art or you've been learning with us, today is, sorry, my bad. Anyways, so we have one rule here. It is to have fun. And other than that, there are no other rules. Make sure you do say hello to us in the comment chat section there in the comments. That way we know that you're here. That's the only way that we do know you're here. And our classes are taught twice a week. They are easily digestible. They're taught by our resident artist, Allison Crary, who shows us her tips and tricks on how to easily attack any sort of art project that you're going for. So today we're going to learn how to draw one of our 2 paintings this month. So what you're going to need is you're going to need your reference guide here, along with one of your grids, which mine is somewhere here somewhere. You'll need one of your grids, and you'll need your art journal, and you'll need a sharpened pencil. And then without further ado, let's say hello to our resident artist, Allison Crary. Hi, Al.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
So good, so good. All right, so we're gonna draw the dolphin pairs today. Yes. And this one's one of my favorites. I've been waiting a long time to get to do this one. Only 2 colors. And yeah, it's a really dynamic, fun, playful painting. So
only 2 colors, huh?
Only 2 colors. This one's gonna be, when we paint it, with the phthalo blue
cool.
And the permanent green light.
Yep.
So really dynamic, engaging. Kind of looks like a postcard to me. I think it would also be really cool on a wall. So yeah, this is our animal pair for the day. Our lighting's super weird today. I'm just gonna keep kind of trying to adjust it here.
Yeah.
We've had a few technical difficulties.
We did. I wrote the opening on my phone in the notes, and I thought it would transfer over to my laptop. It did not.
That's all right though. Is that better? Yeah. Can we see better?
Yeah. Let's see. Yes.
Okay. All right. So if you can't see me, we're just having a few issues today. Okay. So we usually, we didn't send grids this month because we're getting them printed someplace else. And I'm actually going to show a method where you don't necessarily use 2 grids. You just use 1. So that's what we're going to start with here. And so first things first, we're going to anchor maybe just with one of our labels, our grid down in our sketchbooks. And if you're joining us for the first time, we use really basic grids to help us draw. We don't use them the whole time. It's kind of to check our work and to get our placements, but the grid is the same size as the reference.
Yeah.
So for this, you're gonna mark, I've got my graphite paper, sticky, glossy, shiny side down. And we're gonna mark off our corners like this and all of the crosshairs. So I'm just putting tiny little marks. And we use graphite paper so that it's really super easy to erase. Definitely on a painted surface, a little tougher on this surface, but we're not making very big marks. And that's all the grid you're gonna need.
There you go.
To get started. So we're just gonna peel this guy off, just like this. And then I'm just gonna use the straight edge of my reference to put in my borders, not to make a grid, but just to put in my borders.
The grids are really cool. I love you learning how to use the grids because it really helps with spatial perception.
Exactly. And so you kind of bounce off your margins, your crosshairs.
Oh, and you've put crosshairs for us, haven't you?
Yes.
Yes.
And so on here if you look at your reference, we have this divided into thirds. And I'm just going to kind of mark these off. We keep it super subtle for a reason. Because we want you to be able to draw anything and this is a good way to get started. All right, so I have my reference and it's divided into thirds and these are the corresponding thirds, okay? And then if I want to drop this on top of, I'm gonna get some of the paint off of it from when we were painting before. If I want to drop this on top of my dolphins, it lines up with our crosshairs over here. All right,
Yeah.
so very basic, but really what we kind of wanted to sort of get in at this point are general placement of what and where our animals are going to be, our major waves are going to be, where some of the splashing is going to be. And then we're going to pull these off and we're going to draw them. We're going to check our work with them, right? So right now I see that this dolphin kind of sits in primarily these three regions, right? So here are my three regions and a little bit in this fourth one. And it looks like if this were a line, it looks like the bill kind of starts on this line right here. The fin is going to come up and over kind of right here. So this will be where the bill sort of starts. It's going to cross this line right about here, maybe at the quarter mark. And it kind of ends right at this line right here. This is more, bring this over a little bit. Maybe this is more the third mark and this is more the quarter mark. Just like that. So my dolphin is going to be roughly about this size. So I'm going to go ahead and draw him in.
All right.
Maybe a her. Do you think it's a mama and a baby?
I do.
You think?
I do.
So
well, there was a mama and a baby. We did mamas and babies, I think, for spring. So maybe this is a dad.
Definitely a dad.
And, yeah, a dad and a baby.
A dad and a baby. And it's dolphins don't have deadbeat dads.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe other animals do. I don't know.
Not dolphins.
Not dolphins. All right. So we know that's kind of where that sits. And then the bottom of the beak kind of happens down here. And kind of it's gonna kind of follow this line over and come down kind of at the 2/3 mark. So over this way, kind of comes down and crosses through here. This fin exists, kind of starts on this line and comes down and around just like this. And then we have a line that comes over and down just like that. So that's kind of where that dolphin is. This fin kind of happens if you go straight up, it kind of starts right in the middle.
Yeah.
Comes down to about the halfway point. Up, over like this. And then another good line to get in at this point is this kind of underside line where the underside starts. And that is right on this line. It comes a little above it and then kind of crosses below it over here and kind of ends up over here. And then
where's my book?
The bill. So I'm going to just kind of more confidently draw. This line right here. The bill comes up
While you're drawing that, I just want to let
Here.
you know that we've got Caroline from Ohio,
And-
Cheryl, Julie from Crown Point, Lori from Minnesota, Melissa, who Lord knows where she's at in this country. You
She
know,
is in Long Beach, California
oh, she's
again.
back home. Okay, good. Hi,
And-
everybody.
Welcome. No, her puppy was very happy to see her.
I bet.
All right. And then this dorsal fin on top, I'm going to go ahead and put in at this point, comes up, over, and down. Just like that. And we don't really see the bottom fin.
Yeah.
So at a glance, my dolphin's looking a little wide through here. And so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to kind of trim this closer to that. And that looks like that measures up because then we get a little bit more length here, which looks like that checks out. How's everybody doing? How are we doing with our dolphin?
Good.
As
You know,
always,
I think a little bit wider dolphin is might be a problem that we're all having. I just had the exact same problem.
You put in a little bit of a wider dolphin?
Put a little bit of a too wide of a dolphin. Yes.
So Melissa, my sister, and Time for Art partner,
Mhm.
saw my dog last week for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he thinks he's a little bit of a wider dolphin these days, if you know what I mean.
Has he gained some weight?
A little COVID weight, I guess. Poor guy.
A
Like
little COVID weight.
that's, just yeah, not as many walks. I don't know.
You know, it's nobody's business.
It's nobody's business. Tell that to Melissa Crary. He was just at the vet. He's 60 pounds, not 55. But I mean, to me, that's not a measurable difference. I don't know.
I mean, who's counting?
Who's counting? Exactly. All right. So let's get in the baby.
All right.
All right. So we have the dad in the baby. This starts about maybe 3/8 of the way over in this in these two quadrants or thirds, right?
Yeah.
What are their quadrants, their regions? All right.
Yeah.
And then maybe 1/3 up. So it's going to kind of fall right here. And it kind of ends at the halfway point right here. And here's our little baby. And this line kind of ends at maybe the first third mark into this region. Just like this. Down like this. And I think this looks like a really tricky painting. I'm about to show you how it's not. Once you get these guys in, it's actually really, really simple. This one, it's going to tip his little nose up a little bit more. Little eyeball going on just above this line, so a little high. It's right about here. Right here, this is this kind of green underside area. And then we get, this is the blowhole. We get this little region right here. I know it because I painted it. Right here. It's the blowhole. And there's like a little sort of crest on his head. All right. So for the most part, we've just drawn the whole thing.
I mean, look at
We have
us.
the dolphin, we have the baby. We're gonna ground the dolphin and the baby. Okay. And so to do that, I'm gonna kind of put in some sort of, I'm just gonna kind of like, so this is kind of a pizza wedge. If you look like this, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. The splash zone.
Splash zone. The splash zone is kind of a pizza wedge, and it kind of comes out, sort of ends in this region right here, right about here. So this is kind of splash zone. There's kind of a missing kind of nugget of it that goes right through here. But this is kind of splash zone. Our little baby, kind of underneath here, this is the baby splash zone. Right like that. And then the way these kind of waves work is they get sort of darker and more defined as they go. They're kind of softer and lighter in the back. So just a few, and I'm just kind of loosely putting them where they are, but you can kind of see what regions they're in on our grids. How's everyone liking just using one grid?
So far, everyone just seems to be saying hello to each other. But I think the one grid, I think the one grid is a really great way to do it because making a grid, like the grid, that's a good way to be able to use this technique on any sort of painting, no matter what size it is or whatever, just to learn that one grid technique.
That's what I mean. And so I think, we're throwing around what's best, how we do this. This is kind of showing, it's there to kind of help you along, but we're not being too technical. And that's really what we want to do is we want to learn to draw from life or from a reference image, right? We're not looking at the dolphins right now in life, but so it's tricks like these that teach you kind of how to measure and how to work around your space, but you never want them to sort of be something you have to rely on.
Right.
I'm just putting in roughly where my waves are going. And draw days are my favorite days. Everybody knows that. I could sit and draw. Oh, it's my absolute favorite. It's kind of like a puzzle for me.
Especially like I love puzzles. Like I love puzzles.
Puzzle.
The grids make it feel like a puzzle to me.
Yeah. And I'm actually going to go back in and I'm just going to work on the bill. So it's not a beak, right? It's a bill.
Oh, I don't know.
Someone who knows things.
Yeah. I mean, it might be a snout.
A snout. Okay. So there's this kind of underlayer. And there's this kind of second layer that comes up and around this way.
So many people call this long nose consisting of the lower and upper jaw. They either call it a beak or a snout, but the proper name is in fact a rostrum.
A rostrum?
A rostrum.
Let's stick with snout. I say that.
Let's stick with snout.
A lot of people refer to that. Me too. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we've got both of our animals in. We've got kind of our back waves in. I'm just going to take this moment to kind of clean up the hairies.
I did the same.
And you always want to do your best to draw without the sketchy hairies. What I have found is it's inevitable to a certain extent. So policing that, like some teachers wanted to, you're going to have some of it. Just clean them up.
Yeah. Drawing these is a really good way to figure out before we paint the dark spaces, all that jazz.
Yes, absolutely. And we are going to, in our store coming up, have artist pencils available.
Oh, the ones that have they get darker or lighter?
Yes. So so the very lightest ones are drafting pencils.
Okay.
You can barely see them. So I'll never use one in a demonstration because they're great if you want to get started and you don't want really dark lines, but you won't see them. The problem with that. And I'm just going to kind of put in my splash zone right now before I get in these front waves. And the darkest ones, they get to these really, really soft, rich, dark colors. dark values really. And so with that, it's really easy to get dark. There's more opportunity to do so. And so we're going to demonstrate with this. We might show you how they work on some of our draw days. You certainly don't need to get them, but we're going to make them available in our store.
I love them. I love them.
Yeah. Along with detail brushes.
Ooh, the thing about those pencils is like, if you're doing a drawing and you can, there's only so hard you can push on a pencil.
It can only get so dark.
It can only get so dark.
And so that's the thing. It's the kind of thing where if you're doing this for practice, see, I just threw mine. And it's really to kind of get you going for the cleaning and to figure some things out. No need to spend any more time getting, if you're doing this to do a finished drawing, you might really like the opportunity to get some really precise dark values. And that's what the artist pencils will give you. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in some of these more establishing waves. So this one kind of starts halfway this way, about between halfway and the 2/3 mark up. So kind of like right here. And this comes around and off the page like this. There's another little wave right here. And this just doesn't have to be the most precise thing.
I was speaking with I was talking to somebody who's an artist, like
yes,
a sculptor, and I was telling them all about our twice a week class and what we do and how much fun we have and whatnot. And they were absolutely just in awe and impressed that, in essence, I know like right now we're drawing the same painting that we're going to do on Wednesday or whatnot, but that in essence that we're putting out 2 pieces of work a week.
Oh yeah. That's a good point.
When you sit and think about that, that's quite a big, like that's really impressive.
I love it that they acknowledge that. Yeah. And all the template stuff. I mean,
we're doing it.
We're the wicked.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's a really good point. All right. So we have this one that kind of comes around and over like this. And there's some kind of light in areas in here too. We'll get out. But there's our drawing, guys.
Yeah.
What about that? I'm going to kind of erase.
How are you doing your, what are like a technique for the drawing of the splash zone?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
I'm going to just, it's kind of 2 values. And we'll just kind of put that in there. All right. So Hershey, what are our dark? I'm going to lose the grid at this point. Don't need it.
All right. We've got some really dark areas in the waves, especially in the foreground.
Let's get those in first. I like that idea. So that'll really anchor us. So we got one here, one here, one here, one that kind of takes us over and down like this. And to that point, you certainly don't have to do every project with us, but yeah, we feel really good about knocking out 2 projects a week.
Yeah, I certainly do, especially after, he was shocked.
What kind of sculpture does he do?
Really abstract stuff for metal.
Yeah. Hershey and I met a different metal artist at a art fair who made sculptures out of spoons.
Yes.
Remember them?
Yes, I do. That was really cool, actually.
It was so cool. He didn't just do spoons. I think there was an occasional fork in there.
Spatulas.
He had some spatulas.
You'd have some spatulas.
But really precise work, really thoughtful, really playful.
Yeah, there's a really dark area right below the splash zone, which might even be a shadow of the
It's probably definitely a shadow of the daddy dolphin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get this so if we were using artist pencils, we'd probably come in with a 4B pencil like that at this point. It's a nice dark pencil. It's not the darkest. And then we hit the darkest darks with the 6B pencil. We didn't see an 8B. I don't know if that's what ours are going to come to.
I don't even know those were the measurements. I just thought dark, darker, darkest.
So the B's are going to be your dark ones. And so a 2B, for example, like a number 2 pencil, that's what just a basic pencil is.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the H's, and then there's an HB that's kind of in between. And then the H's are going to be your lighter pencils.
I see.
I'm hitting these, and as you see, they get a little bit lighter and just a little bit less defined as they go back.
Yep.
So I'm going to kind of get that in just like that. All right. Clean up my edges again. Next, where would you say are the darkest areas in the animals?
The baby is almost all totally dark except for the underside and a little bit on the top. And then for the daddy, we've got shading on the far fin, the eyeball, and the dorsal fin.
All right, so you're exactly right. I'm gonna get that in just kind of with a basic tone, and then we'll hit the darkest parts in next. So certainly this region right here. So when we were looking at materials to add to the store, because we're doing that expansion, there is, and it's super cool. I haven't bought any yet because I don't know they work. These mini electric erasers that are basically designed to kind of reductively take out the highlight of your drawing. So we might have to play with those.
That sounds incredible. You know how much I love playing with highlights.
And so, yeah, so you get this in there, and if you wanted like a really clean highlight to come, so working positively is to add something. Working reductively is to take something away, right?
Which is what the eraser would do.
Which is what the eraser would do. And so there's these electric erasers. Because here's the thing, art supplies haven't changed much in hundreds of years. Like, we're working at the same stuff.
Well, are they like, is it a super fine eraser in the sense you can get into,
think of like a whiteout pen, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's an eraser. And it can do these, and so I don't know anything about them. But one, we have to figure out if we like them. Two, we have to figure out if we like them enough to sell them. But they exist.
That's really neat.
And they take batteries.
I mean, it takes save you the trouble, take less of the risks.
And you can get a really fine line out of it. Okay. So the darkest areas in both of these, then, like Hershey was saying, kind of right along the daddy's back. In the dorsal fin area. Right along here. Here.
Yeah, they make like there definitely are the a light gray version of this dolphin, but these are not, these are the dark blue versions.
Yes. Also, I made them that color.
Yeah.
That might be some of it. There might have been some artistic licensing. I don't know. There's blue. Definitely blue dolphins. All right.
For sure.
Little bit of shaping around here. Underneath here.
Ruth joined us. Hello, Ruth.
Fantastic. Welcome, Ruth. And so awesome. If you can join us, even if you're not catching it from the beginning, not a big deal. And please join us. And then you can always watch it start to finish after we're done.
Yeah. YouTube or Facebook.
Say, hey. All right. Coming up and around this way.
Are you purposely, did you, I wasn't looking directly at you when you did it. Did you erase to make that highlight on the dorsal fin, or did you?
I did. And it's just because I kind of filled in the whole thing first, but you don't have to.
Right.
And that's when I started in on the fancy erasers.
Oh, okay. Got you.
That I think I'm going to like.
Yeah, me too.
All right. And then Hershey asked about our splash zones. So I'm going to start in on, I'm just going to kind of identify the splashes are kind of, they're either white or they're this kind of gray tone. And the gray tone kind of exists in and around here. Underneath. Here. Underneath here. Kind of around here. Underneath here. And this is almost completely white except for some of this. And then if you look, if you squint, our background certainly has a tone as well. And it gets a little bit lighter as it gets closer to us.
Which is opposite, isn't it? Didn't we talk a couple weeks ago about how further back it gets lighter, or there's like a white veil over it?
So that's atmospheric perspective, and you're exactly right. So atmospheric perspective is the farther away you get it, like it gets kind of lighter and softer and bluer and hazier. And that's like the white veil, right?
Yeah.
In this instance, it looks as though that we're really, as it gets closer to us, it's catching more light.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's more shallow, the water.
Ooh, there you go.
And that's what we're getting. And then kind of emphasize our little strokes in the back a little bit. I'm putting together right now our next 8 months. One, because we kind of do these in 8-month chunks. And so any suggestions for themes, we're very interested at this point.
All righty.
And it's going to be, it's a really good group. I'm really excited about what we're going to do.
Mm. So we'll go darker in the back. And it kind of
Darker
fades to the
light.
front.
Yep. And then I'm just going to kind of hit my shadows that need to be darker one last time on my drawing. So on mine, it's got to be darker right here. And to the point of the really cool sculpture artist you met that thinks we pump out a lot of work really quickly. We do. But at the same time, I think it's really great that we do short projects that everybody has some success on and we don't belabor and we move on. And that's kind of like what this is.
Cheryl's so funny. She wrote as far as suggestions for the next 8 months.
Yeah.
She said if we do a Starry Night theme, then she
I love
says
it.
sell a kit at my fundraiser by the same name and you won't have to do double duty.
Well, we promise you we will get you a starting. I think I've already done that actually.
What? We did?
Yeah. Or that's a thing, Hershey, we're doing.
Yeah, I like it. I don't have any references like Starry Night right now, like off the top of my head, but I really do enjoy when, like, on Starry Night, you can see the wind.
Yes.
I like paintings like that like kind of represent something that you normally wouldn't be able to see.
I love it. We're going to do some of that. We're going to do some like actual, I'm going to go ahead and say it. One of the ones we have coming up is all about sort of deconstructed faces, but not like Picasso where we're like, but like, we're just going to do like eyes, nose and mouth, like studies.
Okay. We're going to be drawing like the mouth.
Yeah. It's like a cropping of the face and we'll figure that out.
Into it. We got some really cool ideas, Al.
So many cool, such cool.
Yeah. So Cheryl said the Starry Night. Lori had a great one too. October, she said maybe we could do monsters.
I love that idea.
Same. And then Julie said, could there be a theme that covers people learning and practicing drawing human features, which I just mentioned.
Yes, in the works. And
good job,
and
Julie.
I think that the templates will actually be a little different that month. No, maybe not. I don't know. But I'm gonna put in all the references for it too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just gonna be.
What great ideas just rolled in.
Yeah. We love it.
Thank you, artists.
I love a monsters. I love like vintage horror.
Yeah.
It's like a giant squid eating a city and everyone's panicking.
Weren't we talking about one recently where it was Godzilla, but he was just wanting a hug?
Forgot I did that monster too.
That's a good one.
Yeah. All right. It's got a message. Exactly. All of them do, right? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hold this up in case we're getting some glare. This
looks great.
Our drawing. I love all of our drawings. Really awesome when we saw some of the neon signs on the group. All look so good. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I keep saying it to people. I'm like, I never thought I'd be able to paint a neon sign.
Right? And it was actually not hard at all.
It really, I mean, when you broke it down like the way you do,
yeah,
it was, it made sense.
When you figured out what you were drawing, not so hard, right?
Not so hard.
Let's see. Right. Well, thank you so much for your suggestions. I think maybe we'll try and get our face one in like September. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah. That's going to be a really fun one.
Or she's going to have to teach 1 week in September completely. So
big figures.
No, it's going to be great. Hershey knows all. Look at his stuff. It's going to be great. So 1 week. Yes, there's 1 week that's going to be starring Hershey Petty. So maybe we won't do faces that month. Anyway, it'll be good. Thank you so much for joining us today. We love you all. We are so excited. Our next set of 8 is our next batch is it's a more, we thank you for growing with us because our next one is going to be really, really great. And we love you so much. And we're going to paint this guy on Wednesday. All right.
I promised Ruth that I would share my progress before we go every day. So here's what I have.
Looking fantastic, Rishi Patty.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I know this great artist who breaks everything down to edible bite-sized pieces of art. And so I feel so confident.
Oh, hey, who's that? All right. Bye,
Bye everybody. See you on Wednesday.